One of the coolest things about handheld gaming is the ability to just take your games with you on the go or be able to play in different rooms of your house so you are not chained to the TV or, in my case, this desk right here. And that's one of the things that appeals to me most about handheld gaming. But handhelds, I don't know about you, but they just seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't always want to take them with me when I go out of the house. Now, in the world of photography or videography, there's a phrase. That phrase is, the best camera that you have is the one that you have with you. And it doesn't matter how great your camera is if it's at home. It doesn't matter how good your handheld system of choice is if you don't have it with you. But because they keep ballooning in size, and look no further than the Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch 2, handhelds keep getting bigger, and I don't always want to take them with me. So sometimes I think that the best handheld that you could have is your phone. And I have said many times that I don't like to play video games on my phone. And here's the reason why I don't like to play video games on my phone. Whenever I do, my thumbs get in the way of the screen, and I don't like the way that feels. So that's where something like this comes in. This is a telescopic controller. It's the ELO Vagabond from, ELO. And the cool thing about it is that it feels like a traditional controller. I've tried plenty of telescoping controllers before, and there's a lot of good ones out there, but this one I like mostly because it just feels like a regular controller, which is really, really great. It has USB-C, and so it works with, modern iPhones and Android phones. And if you look, this USB-C right here, you can see that it's wobbly. Now, the reason that it's wobbly is because different phones have different degrees of thickness. And because of that, when I go to hook this in, notice how it bends a little bit. And then I can just grab it, extend it out, and now I think my phone just flipped over. There we go. And now I can play the game that I wanted to play. I'm in the middle of a conversation on this. There we go. I can play the game that I wanted to play using a traditional controller, and it feels really good. It has full height joysticks. We'll get to configuring those joysticks in a little bit with the software that comes with this thing. It has a full-on cross-shaped D-pad that feels very, very clicky. I like this D-pad a lot. It's a little loud, but not loud enough that it would be annoying or anything like that. It's got the full-size face buttons. It's got your start button over here, your view button over here, and your 3-dot menu, which I wasn't sure what that was for, but basically this is to take screenshots of your games as you're playing them. Here you've got your ELO Vagabond dedicated button. If I press that, it's going to switch over to their app, which we will come back to their app in a little bit. But right now I'm just going through and playing some games on this to see how it handles it. And I have to be honest, it handles it really, really well. And the Vagabond will fit just about any phone. It comes with this card here, which has these weird little codes on it and all of these little slots. And all you have to do is try and fit your phone into the different slots until it fits in one. You can see that mine fits in the 39 slot. And then in the box, you have all of these different adapters in order to make sure that your phone fits in there snugly. I have the 39 adapter in my controller already, but if I had a different phone, I would use one of these. And it also has plenty of room for you to use with a case. Now let's take a look at the back of the controller. On the back, we have these two buttons right here, which are programmable, so you can set them in the software to mimic any of the face buttons. You also have these two switches right here, and I'm going to flip these switches and see what happens now. So those switches basically disable the buttons on the back. Like, they no longer click, and now they click, but they don't do anything because I haven't configured them yet. We'll get into that in a little bit. All right. So how do the buttons feel? The face buttons are nice. They're big. They're round. They're rounded on top. I do prefer flat face buttons, but these are really, really nice. I feel like they're spaced far apart, and they've got the Xbox layout. I have no complaints about these buttons. Honestly, I have zero complaints about this controller as a whole. It even has a headphone jack on it. So if you have some like old school, I can't believe I'm calling it old school. If you have some old school, like, earbuds, it's going to work with that, and you don't have to bother the people around you. And you can also power your device while you are playing it at the same time using this USB-C port, which basically just sends your charge straight through. So another one of the reasons that I don't particularly like playing games on my phone is, number one, like I already said, I don't like my thumbs being in the way. But the second reason that I don't like playing games on my phone is because I don't want my phone to not be available if I need it. But I have buckets of charging cables and charging bricks and ways to just plug it into the wall when I'm running low. And being able to do pass-through charging and play a game on my phone while it's charging up, that's actually really, really great. It's a very useful feature. All right, let's take a look at the app that you can get when you go to this QR code here. First off, it has like a game launcher for some typical games that you would find on iOS, and I'm assuming that you would see the same thing on Android. You can go through and see the different games that they've selected. Then here you have genres that you can look through, and then down here you can look at your library. But the thing that I'm most interested in is right here. It's this little gear icon, which allows you to change a few things. So first off, if you go into sounds, there's an unleashed app volume. Like this thing has its own volume. There's music that's constantly playing in the background. I turned that all the way down, but you can make that decision yourself. Here we've got calibration. And as you can see, it's detecting the controllers just fine. The one on the left seems like it is locked in right dead center. The one on the right seems like it's not locked in dead center. So there's a button right here that allows me to calibrate the sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Move your left stick up and then release it. And then right, and then down, and then left. All right, it's calibrated that one. Now I'm going to hit next. It's going to have me do the same thing. Up, right, oops, down, left. Next. Now it says rotate your stick in a circular motion 6 times until you see the check mark. I don't know. It doesn't say which stick. I'm going to assume it's starting with the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's the check mark. Next. Do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Next. And then it says it's all set. So now I'm going to go back into calibration. And you can see that both sticks are locked dead center. And as I move them around and then let go, snapping right back to the middle, which is great. You can also calibrate your triggers. I can click on that. And my left trigger, I'm going to pull. So you can see that these are analog triggers. They're not digital triggers. And next, and that's been calibrated as well. You have button mapping. Here you can tell the controller what buttons are going to be pressed when you do different things. I'm not going to change this because it's already set up the way that I want. You can update the firmware right here, and it's as simple as hitting that button and then waiting for a couple minutes while it downloads it and installs it. LED brightness. So I've turned off the LEDs, which is what I always do because I really don't like LEDs on stuff. Then they've got support and about, and that's about as far as I would go with that app. I really don't have a need for that app overall anyway. Let's move on and try out some games. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said that I don't really like playing games on my phone because my thumbs are usually in the way. But there's another reason, and that is because most of the games that you can find on the App Store just aren't very good, or I think that's not fair. Most of the games on the App Store are not games that appeal to core gamers. Does that mean that they're necessarily bad games? Absolutely not, but they don't appeal to me, and I consider myself to be like a core gamer. But because I have this controller, I was like, I wonder what controller-focused games they have on Apple Arcade, which comes with my Apple One subscription. Well, I scrolled all the way down. It said great games with controller, and I was like, okay, Trials of Mana, cool. I'm not really super interested in that. And then I started looking through, and I was like, Final Fantasy IV 3D Remake? Heck yes, that's appealing to me. Final Fantasy Plus, I clicked on that, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's the pixel remaster for Final Fantasy. And you go through, and there's actually a lot of really good games on Apple Arcade that are going to work fantastically well with whatever controller that you choose. My current phone controller of choice is going to be the ELO Vagabond because it feels like a traditional controller. In fact, look at that. There's Gree right there. Gree is a game that I have heard nothing but wonderful things about. I have never chosen to pull the trigger on that game, but it's right here in Apple Arcade, so I can just hit the get button. It's going to go ahead and install. And one of the cool things about playing games on your phone is, of all of the devices that I have, my phone probably has the nicest screen. And I think that's true for most things because we tend to read a lot of text in our phone. So you need high resolution, or you need at least high dots per inch. And that means almost any game is going to look really, really great on a phone screen, as opposed to, an LCD Steam Deck or something like that. And I could just throw this in my backpack and not really worry about it. I don't have to worry about it charging it or anything like that because it doesn't have batteries in there. It's got full-size sticks and it feels like an old school Xbox controller. It's just a really, really nice controller. And the fact that it fits almost any phone is just crazy to me. Like, look at how much this thing stretches out. But you're not just limited to the games that you have available to you on the App Store or the Google Play Store, because there's also things like Xbox Cloud Gaming, PlayStation Streaming, or GeForce Now, where you can play all of those other games that are not usually available and just stream them to your phone if you have the fast enough internet connection, if you have a good enough connection in order to play those games. And I think that that's really cool. I will say that I was trying GeForce Now on my phone, and on a computer, I've never run into problems with GeForce Now. On my phone, I was definitely getting some latency. That is absolutely not the fault of the controller. It was something to do with GeForce Now, which usually feels really, really good, especially on controller. But on my phone, it just was not performing very well. That said, there's also Xbox Cloud Gaming, and if you are somebody who subscribes to Game Pass and you're looking for a way to play your Game Pass games on the go, or Microsoft recently made it so that you could also play the games that you've bought on the go using Xbox Cloud Gaming, that's going to be a really, really great option using this controller as well. But I also have to say, it's been a very long time since I've played games on my phone, and I am looking for advice. Are there games that you have been playing on your phone, either with or without a controller attachment? And what are those games, and why do you like them so much? Let me know in the comment section down below that like button. And while you're down there, don't forget to click the like and subscribe because it helps out a bunch. I'm currently sitting around 80,000 subscribers here on YouTube, and it would be amazing if I was able to hit 100K by the end of the year. So, if you enjoy the stuff that I do here on the channel, then please do click that button. But let's get back to the ELO controller. It also has these really nice analog triggers, which I thought they were broken when I was playing this game. And the reason I thought they were broken is because if you go into the options and then you go into controls, it has auto accelerate turned on, which is ridiculous. I understand why they would do it because they don't know if somebody's using this with a controller or not. And auto accelerate without a controller makes a lot of sense. But I turned that off and then everything was much, much better. You can see right here, I'm just going to pull the trigger just a tiny bit. Whoops, just a tiny bit to start moving. And I'm not moving very fast. So this gives you plenty of control in order to stay right in the lane that you want to stay in. And I can pull it down all the way and then start to actually get some some actual acceleration in there. And as I'm going around a corner, I can let off just a little bit in order to stay exactly the right speed. This is great. It makes playing racing games on something like the iPhone or an Android phone so much better, I think. I also feel like there's just enough resistance when you are pulling these triggers. It feels really good. Like the triggers are made very, very well for this particular controller. One thing that I really like about this controller is that there's no battery in it. It doesn't actually connect to anything unless it is actually hardwired in with this USB-C cord. So you don't have to worry about charging it. It also has these nice textured grips, which feel really, really good on the hand. It doesn't feel like cheap, crappy plastic, which I've seen with a lot of controllers, especially like for the Nintendo Switch, where they're made with super smooth plastic that almost feels like sticky to your hands. This feels really good, and I like the grippy texture that is on the sides. They even have a slightly grippy texture right here on this part of the trigger and on this part of the bumper, but it's not on these two parts of the trigger and the bumper either. Now, something else that I wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to show on screen, is the fact that iOS recently started allowing people to install emulators. And because of that, there's a lot of emulation that you can do. And having a real controller to play your emulated games while you're on the go is a really great solution. You can, of course, get dedicated devices for emulation, but again, I go back to the whole theme of this video. The best system that you have is the one that you have with you all the time, and I will always have my phone with me, whether or not I decide to bring like my Miu Mini Plus or my RG35XX with me on the go. That's a maybe, but 100%. I always bring my phone with me, so it might be my new favorite way to emulate games. But what do you all think about telescoping controllers like the ELO Vagabond? Do you play games on your phone, and if so, which ones? I am looking for more phone games to play when I am out and about, because I think this controller just earned a permanent spot in my backpack. Let me know in the comments section down below, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching. Stay rad.